Welcome back, all my DIY nomads. It's a beautifully sunny day today. So my friend Sam came over with his caddy and we are currently building a one of the pull-out beds. And it's really weird because it's obviously just a bit of like a micro scale one, but we'll show you that now. So here it is here, and we're going to pull it out. It should fill this whole back space. Right guys, so a quick update. It's instantly gone very, very dark, so we're working with the van light on. We've actually, I know I should have really kept you guys updated, but we are sort of like, we've got all the planks cut, we've got the other frame cut, so I'll just show you what we've got up to. So what we did is we managed to get the frame, as you saw before. We then had to obviously build this other side of the frame, and this is going to be the bit that slides out. We've also had to inset them because there's a curve in the plastic at the back and we don't want it sort of hitting this rear part as well. We've made sure all the legs are in the right place, so if anything moves it doesn't clash with something else. And now comes the tricky part. This is the bit I find tricky, in that you have to make sure that these planks are both the right width. I definitely wouldn't go any wider than this, because you've got to think that when the bed pulls out, you're going to have a bit of space either side, and when the bed pulls out, you're going to have this sort of size gap in between. Also, we need to think about, I've cut them basically the whole width of the bed, including this bar, but we need to screw them at the right place, and also we've got to remember about the friction that is created when you have the different pieces, because they need to slide over each other. So this is really the more technical part. The rest of the frame is really quite easy, but this is the most technical part for me personally. So we managed to get most of the panels screwed down now. We need to do quite a lot. We still need to basically elevate the ones that aren't moving. We're going to put either a washer under each side on the screws, or we're going to route out a bit of the wood. Still trying to decide, but we can't do anything further now. It's getting really dark, really late. So we're going to pick this up next time. Welcome back everyone. We are cracking on with the van bed again. Now what we've done is, we've taken it out of the van for now, and obviously when you screw down each alternating plank, the tension becomes quite high because it starts to cause a lot of friction, not between the sides but from where you screw down each side and then each piece of wood comes together. That is probably the worst way to explain it ever. So what we've done is basically taken a piece of this underfloor foam stuff, and it's very, very thin, about 3mm, and under the fixed panels we've put a piece either side, and then when they screwed, we put a piece on either side on each end, and now when it screws down it raises it up probably by about 1mm, which means that now we don't need to do any sort of spacing or routing on the wood, and it's ensured that this now pulls out really easily. The only next one is that when we add this back piece for the slide out end, this back piece, these bits now don't have a spacer, so the back end, when it goes onto the back part of the bed, might rub, so we might need to just round off the back edge here so it can get over the lip and not cause any frictions. I'm sure for a lot of you that was basically me speaking gobbledygook, but I'll show you all properly at the end. beaut.
So good.
Boom. That is one caddy van bed done. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go inside, I'm going to draw up a diagram and properly explain it so that you guys get the full grasp of it. I know I've covered this a few times, but I just want to cover this yet again for anyone else that's struggling with any of these like sort of slat pull-out beds. One thing I did want to show you just before we go is, I've seen these before, but Sam's got them in the back of his caddy and they're like magnet curtains. So all it is just a bit of fabric with magnets in the side, so you can basically completely remove it off the metal. But the great thing is, even one-handed, I can just throw this bad boy up straight into place. That's so good. I might have to do something similar with, like in my van, but I want to do it with like mosquito net. So in the summer, you can just whack it up over the window bit. Can't let the mosquitoes in, but you can have the windows open. That would be the best option. I'm going to talk you through some big major tips that are going to make you making these slat beds super easy and way nicer to use, because if you don't follow these sort of tips, then they can end up, these sort of beds can end up almost unusable or infuriating to try and use. So this is my bed. I pulled it out. I'll just push it in quickly. So as it said, I have a rectangle frame. I have a rectangle frame that is the main frame that goes around the edge. I then have legs at each corner, and in some cases, this is actually, because this isn't full length, this slat bit only goes up to here, so it isn't actually like a full length bed. I don't have 6 legs, but I would actually have 6 legs if it was longer, because I'd need more support in the centre to take the weight. Now, you don't need cross struts, because obviously these fixed ones are acting as those cross struts. But the big tips for you guys are that obviously when you're building this, the end obviously needs a U-frame. I would advise that this pull-out part, these legs are just a tiny weeny bit shorter than the legs you choose for here. Not a lot, like literally maximum 5mm, even if it's that, maybe even 3mm. It is weird, but it helps with being able to slot these in at the other end so that they slot in over the wood at the back. That takes me on to my other tip. Right, so from here, I haven't pushed the bed in fully. When it's in fully, this bit of wood, all of these slats are lined up and this bit of wood is underneath these. But what I want to show you is, to make this a lot easier to get in and out, I would advise really rounding this bottom corner here. This one at the bottom of this slat, on all of these sort of fixed ones here. And also on this, I haven't actually done it on this edge here yet, but this actually works alright as it is. You can also chamfer this edge here so that when they come together, that one slides under that one. So I've pushed it, it's at a weird angle right now, so it's not going to go in fully, but so they slide over each other. What I'm trying to get at with this tip is that any edges that slide over each other, so the edges, the slats that run over the back parts, if they have square edges, those corners always seem to catch. So you want to chamfer all the edges so that when they come into contact with each other, they just slide over each other and go into position. This will make your life so much easier, and you can actually just do this. Just sand down all of the sharp edges before you put anything together. This will make your life 1,000 times easier when you come to put the whole thing up together, because otherwise you have to either carve it out or sand it down while it's in position, or you have to just take the whole thing apart again, which I have done in the past, and it's very irritating to do. As I mentioned in my previous video about making this, I'd use recycled pallet parts, so these parts aren't all perfectly square and some of them have warped a bit, so you're going to want to make sure you leave adequate spacing between each slat, so if it does pull out and something sort of changes position a bit as it gets to the end, it's not going to rub too much on the next door slats and create too much friction so you can't pull it out. On top of that, it also creates more breathing, so when you've got something like a cushion on top, it allows it to breathe more. But the best thing to do is, before you screw down any slats, is to take each slat, sand the edges so nice and smooth, and then rub a sort of like candle wax or something like that into the edges of them, and that makes them really smooth and easy to pull out and there's little friction. It's very easy to go in. Now, funnily enough, you don't want it to actually go in super easy, like effortlessly, because unless you have a mechanism to keep the bed frame closed, the whole frame will just pull out while you're driving. So a tiny weeny bit of friction is nice. I know this sounds like a lot of requirements, but these are the few tips that will help make your slat bed really nice to use, really easy, and just perfect for your van conversion. I hope most of that made sense. If it doesn't, please leave a comment below and ask any questions. Also, please leave a like. And we're having quite a lot of work done at the house right now. We're moving from room to room to room. So double daily, so 2 videos a week is going to be really tricky for me to keep up to. So I'm going to reduce it to 1 a week for the next 3 or 4 weeks till I can get my feet planted again and my shed isn't filled to the brim with everything from the house, because I literally can't work in there anymore. Stay motivated, stay creative, and I'll catch you all next week.